So let's just see how it works.
How does the sound? I'm just talking to I haven't got any headpiece or anything. It sounds okay, does it?
Yeah. Yep. That's
Very
what
clear.
we've done
Very
so
clear.
far.
I was saying to Marcus, I'm a little concerned because the connection we have in Penang is often not great and it can break up. But hopefully it will hold up for the duration of this.
I can screen record as well, just in case. Oh no, that won't do any good actually. No.
Well, that's okay because Marcus is doing the recording, so all that's fine.
We're recording now, so we can start whenever you're ready, and that's when I'll start the edit at whatever time you guys want to commit Spencer's intro.
All right, very good. Thanks, guys.
Chris, I don't know if you had a chance. I did send through just a list of potential topics, but feel free to add or take out whatever you want.
Yeah, actually, I've gone through that. That was good. It gives a couple of good talking points on that.
Good.
Oh, hang on.
All right.
My thing keeps sliding down.
Your camera.
My camera keeps sliding down slowly.
You'll be sinking.
Well, I'm getting taller.
Look, seriously, if it does, just stop and we'll stop the recording and reset it and start again.
Yep. All right. Very good.
All right. I'll count you in, Chris.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Wherever in the world you may be, a very warm welcome to the latest edition in the Asian Golf Industry Federation's series of interviews with key figures from the golfing industry. The series focuses on the work of individuals and companies involved with the AGIF, Asia's umbrella golfing body. Today, we're delighted to have with us Chris Gray, one of golf's foremost experts on turfgrass and sustainability. Head of Sustainable Golf and Agronomy, Asia Pacific with the RNA, Singapore-based Chris was voted in as president of the AGIF at the Federation's annual general meeting last month. Welcome, Chris. Good to have you with us. To start off, perhaps you can tell us a little bit about your background in golf and specifically the path your career has taken.
Great. Thanks, Spencer. And firstly, I'd like to say it's a pleasure to be nominated and be elected to the president of the Asian Golf Industry Federation. It's an extremely important, group for what we're doing in golf in the industry. And, particularly it's very close to my heart. I first came across to Asia in the early 90s, involved in golf course development, golf course construction, golf course design, and also golf course management. So I've been based out here for the last 27 years. And most recently, yes, as you said, I'm working with the R&A as the head of Sustainable Golf and Agronomy. And, the R&A has a real mission around promoting sustainable golf, as well as several other things we'll talk about, such as the Women in Golf Charter and growing participation in the game. So I think the focus with what we're doing with AGIF and the R&A, along with all the other member companies we have, I think we all have a pretty similar mission, which is to see the growth of the game in Asia, which is going to be very important.
And your background specifically, Chris, has been on the turfgrass side, has it?
Yes, correct. I started out as a greenkeeper superintendent, working in that field. So, as a lot of us in the industry, you evolve in your development, in your career, move into different sides of the industry. I've been a general manager of golf clubs in the past as well. And, I've seen quite a bit of that as well in the future, recently with, superintendents and greenkeepers actually moving into club management roles. They do bring quite a diverse skill set to the market to complement, the other people in operations, such as the club managers, golf professionals, golf operations side. So I started out in the turf side, and it's, still a base and for what I'm interested in promoting, and particularly sustainable agronomy practices and how that's evolved over the years to be more sustainable in the way we manage golf courses.
And I know you've made huge contributions in many, many areas, including the AGIF. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you joined the board in 2012, so you've done a decade or close to that. Can you talk a little bit about what it is that makes the AGIF so unique?
Well, as you said, the AGIF was formed in about 2010, with quite a diverse membership. Initially, the core membership was golf supply companies. That's diversified now. There's golfing organisations have joined in, the PGAs, PGA of America, PGA of GB&I, PGA of Japan, Asian Tour are all members. We've got members from the golf tourism sector, club management companies, again, to go along with our core, which was golf supply companies. So we've had such members as turf equipment companies, golf cart manufacturers, turf protectant companies, along with what else golf course design companies, and most recently, the last couple of years, golf clubs and individual members as well.
Yeah, as well as some of the new tech companies as well, who are focusing on various areas of golf. So as you say, it's a very diverse organization. And I know in recent years, particularly, one of the main focuses has been on education. And obviously with the certificate in greenkeepers and with the club managers, maybe you can talk a little bit about that. And then we'll get on to, obviously, the challenges that have been faced this past couple of years with COVID and not having the ability to do face-to-face meetings.
Well, obviously, one of the core things here the Federation has been involved with is education. And initially when we started off, in the early 2010s, a big focus was around turf education, and we continued that on for many years. And then in about 2016, we partnered up with the Club Managers Association of America to provide club management and BMI training along that front. So we broadened the horizon around turf and explored and moved into club management, which is extremely important to diversify and actually provide education across the broad width of a golf club. So, and of course, some of the challenges we've had, with COVID, of course, we haven't been able to hold those in-person education sessions. So we've been looking at ways how we can be more remote with the way we can promote, rather than just purely in-person type seminars. So that's some of the things how we're going to look to evolve, how we can move forward. I still think it's going to be great to get back into in-person training, but we may have to look at some hybrid models to go along with that.
Before we get into the certificate in greenkeeping in a bit more detail, it brings us nicely on to the immediate past president, Richard Warne, who you've taken over from. Richard was in that post for 4 years, and like you, heavily involved in the AGIF since its formation. I think he's been made now the president emeritus. Can you talk a little bit about Richard and his contribution, and maybe particularly his involvement with the certificate in greenkeeping?
Yeah, Richard's been a real stalwart in the Federation since its inception. And he's been a driving force behind the promotion of the certificate in greenkeeping, which is a certificate. And I think that's something that the Federation worked pretty hard to develop. And of course, that took a lot of resources to make happen. So support from the industry, the R&A, support from the companies such as Syngenta, Jacobs and Textron, Toro, John Deere, Jepson and Jessen were some of the key companies that actually put funding towards the development of that, working closely with the New Zealand Sports Turf Institute for the accreditation and also the content and the tutors. So that was a real vision of the board, and Richard led that back in the mid 2000s, and it came to fruition in 2018. So it's been great to have Richard actually to continue to stay involved with the board, on an advisory level. To draw on his experience is going to be very important moving forward. I take a look back to the presidents actually prior to Richard. Tim Trinker, immediately before that, Tim as an international lawyer, had a big focus on governance and the role the AGIF can play in the industry on that front. I know, we looked at certain subjects over the time about intellectual property rights, which was something that we need to probably get back onto again for the club side. And then the first president, Wong Ken-ji from Jebsen and Jessen, was instrumental in the driving force behind how we started to move along. So all those people that are involved, and again, all the board members, the VPs, treasurers, secretaries, and other board members have all contributed over this past, a bit over a decade. So big shoes to fill, but I've been involved for a number of years, so it's just a natural progression for me.
And just talking a little bit more about the greenkeepers in general, you mentioned this trend that we've seen in the last few years with quite a few superintendents becoming general managers. And I think one of the driving forces behind getting the certificate in greenkeeping up and running was that the greenkeepers in Asia had never had formal training before. And if they wanted to do anything, they would have to go to the US to do that. And the bizarre thing, obviously, being that the golf course itself is the most valuable asset at any golf club anywhere in the world. So it just makes sense that we're able to provide the greenkeepers with this kind of education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just don't mind the thunder here in Singapore at the moment. We're getting a bit of the wonderful climate. But yeah, I mean, it's so important because, there's a big portion of club staff, and not just greenkeepers, but also staff in golf operations and also management. There's not a lot of formal education opportunities sometimes when you move into the industry in Asia. So to be able to provide a certificate in greenkeeping, and it's a accredited certificate that the greenkeepers can then move on possibly as a base point to do further education, online education, but giving them a great understanding about what they're doing on the golf course, why they're doing it, and also some of the science behind what they're doing as well. So, of course, this goes hand in hand with the mentorship from the club, their club course manager, course superintendent, who works closely with them to guide them through that education. Because, as you say, particularly in the past, there's normally been a technology transfer that happens over the years with a qualified superintendent passing down the knowledge. That's always going to be a core part of the industry, but to be able to provide some formal sort of certification is very important. And again, we want to look at doing that in the club management side with club managers associations about what we can bring to that maybe mid-level management to provide that sort of also diploma level education. So we're going to look at different options around education for, again, golf pros possibly moving into the management side of the industry. On that front. So yeah, I mean, we're going to, as much as broad as possible education as we can, and certifications are important.
And of course, before COVID struck, certificate in greenkeeping courses were actually held, I think, in Thailand and Malaysia. I know it's the intention to restart those, and I believe there are other countries that you're looking at as well.
Mm-hmm, correct. I mean, we've been in the process of doing some completion courses with the intakes in particularly in Malaysia, which we've also got a Singapore intake, which is included in that. So working with NZSTI how to do those completion courses, and then kick off other courses. Vietnam, China are markets where we're actually talking to industry folks in those markets. And again, this will be in country. Local language presentation for that material. So there's not a prerequisite to speak English to be able to do these courses. And again, also beyond, and looking to the Middle East as well, we've got some discussions happening over there.
It's been outstanding as well, and noticed that many of the intakes at the certificate in greenkeeping have actually been females. And that does bring us on, you mentioned before about the Women in Golf Charter. And I know the AGIF joined that last year and have made certain commitments to that end, and is celebrating the first female officer on the board.
Yeah, exactly. Look, and again, working for the RNA, a big focus of the organisation within the RNA is the Women in Golf Charter, and how important that is to inspire an industry-wide commitment to develop a more inclusive industry for women to become involved with around the world, and enable women and girls to flourish and maximise their potential. Not just playing golf, but also within the golf industry. And it's a pleasure to have Karen become the first female board member, office bearer of the board since its inception. And she's been a very influential member of the board for the past 2 years. And she's been instrumental in launching our own Women in Sports initiatives. So we're very excited about what we can do around that, but that's aimed at encouraging female participation and leadership within the industry. So careers within the golf industry, again, is probably more of a focus for us. Participation is important as well, but there is definitely a career path for women and girls into the golf industry.
And something that the AGIF is committed to bringing, I think, more women onto the committee and onto the board in the years to come.
That's right, for sure. I mean, it's important to get a broad spectrum of people, on the board. And historically, golf has always been a little bit, more, I guess, male dominated in the industry. But it's so refreshing to see more women and girls moving into the industry, because they're such a big part of the game and such an important part of the game, and how the game can grow. When you look at the professional game, and the women's game is so strong. Just watching the LPGA events, it's just such an inspiration the way they play. And I think most men could probably model more of their game on the way the women play. We've got a lot more in common than the elite sort of male pros, I think.
Absolutely. And I think one of the things with COVID that seems to have come out from talking to the management companies and other people in the golfing industry is how it's been a bit of a boon for golf. Not just in Asia, but around the world. But I think, Chris, it seems that Asia is still the place that many people around the world are looking to in terms of golf course construction. I believe Asia is still the most active region in the world in terms of the players. You're looking now at the LPGA and even the PGA Tour. We're seeing more and more. How does the AGIF look upon that when you look at the role as an umbrella golfing organization?
Well, for sure. I mean, look, the impact of COVID on the tours, on companies and individuals has been, quite extreme, to say the least. But, I think one byproduct that did happen in country, whereas that we did see quite an uptake in participation in golf in many countries around the region. Of course, some countries did close down through government mandated closures and what have you, which made it very difficult for clubs. But I think overall, the interest in golf, I think, has risen. And we're probably going to see more post-COVID travel. So again, it's going to be very important on how we engage with that sort of segment of the market in the industry. There's going to be higher expectations on golf course presentation. So again, a lot of that comes back to education. How can the federation work with clubs to raise the standards for service and also course participation? And one of the ways we can do that is through training. And again, working closely with golfing bodies and federations and tours, for example, who are out here to actually collaborate and even tie in to the events. We can look at ways we can do seminars, even doing events around participation, particularly for women and girls at the events.
You've talked a little bit about embracing all areas of the industry. And as you know, I think initially a lot of the golf club manufacturers were involved in the Asian Golf Industry Federation at the outset. Do you see that as an area that, again, we can attract them back in and embrace them and bring them back to the party in that sense?
Yeah, certainly. They're an important segment of the market. And again, as you say, initially we did have some members from the club manufacturing side and apparel side. It's important that we provide something that's going to be of benefit to them. And I think one of the ways that we can do that is of course through growing our golf facility members, because of course that's the core where like pro shops and what have you are involved, but also around intellectual property rights. I think is an extremely important part where we can work with, again, and we broaden our membership base because we have facility members in 12 countries and look to grow those numbers within those countries. And I think, getting back to the core of the golf industry, education to golfers is going to be extremely important about, there's repercussions with counterfeit equipment. Golfers may think they're getting a great deal for a cheap golf club, but they're not getting the quality. The manufacturers have spent so much money on R&D and marketing and supporting those products. So I think we can offer a lot more on that front to support the club manufacturers throughout the region.
And also discussions, I believe, with a lot of the other ruling golfing bodies, not just you. I know you mentioned the RNA and the Asian Tour, but I think with people like the Asia Pacific Golf Confederation, which is the ruling amateur body for golf, I think in 45 countries now in the Asia Pacific region. Do you see more tie-ups with organizations like that?
Definitely, I think it's a very important next step for us to get more involved with the confederation, and also national federations as well. It's the same with the RNA. The RNA is involved with national golfing bodies throughout the world, so it's just a natural tie-up for our federation to be involved with them. What's happening on the ground, but also to how we can assist them to promote initiatives for, again, golf participation, the awareness, the value that golf brings to communities, all these sort of things that we have this message that we can help support through, along with messages that the different federations and national bodies have to spread that. But again, we can sort of bring that down directly to the golf clubs and then on to the membership base and players.
And another thing prior to COVID that I know was in discussion was putting on a trade show. And I think we were talking about doing that in Bangkok probably 2 or 3 years ago now. That obviously had to be put on hold. Is that something that you can see resurfacing? Yeah,
look, obviously, trade seminars, trade field days, that's been the core of what the AGIF has been about, since the inception. And the thinking was we could do something a little bigger. We did hold a lot of very small events right throughout Southeast Asia, which were very valuable to bring a lot of our members in direct contact with end users and essentially customer base at the golf facilities. So the thinking was we could have a broader event, to inspire not just what we're doing around, products and services to golf clubs, but around a bigger picture, particularly around sustainability of golf and the importance of the golf being a good partner in the community. So I just see that as the next step. And again, we'll look at those sort of options moving forward, but definitely something that's worthwhile pursuing.
And that will be under your leadership for the next 2 years. Any other initiatives, Chris, that you're looking at? And driving memberships, obviously, as you've alluded to, is very important.
Yeah, and again, this sort of comes back to the role that I have with the RNA around sustainable golf and the message that we have there. But one of the things I think the federation can do is be involved in promoting sustainability. Sustainability is not just about environmental, but it's also financial sustainability of a golf club. So it's ways that we can be an advocate for the messaging around, golf clubs protecting nature, benefit the communities around them, conserving resources, all these messages that actually, at the end of the day, help them be a better, more efficient facility. And again, sustainability is again, environment is so important, but also financial sustainability. So that's one of the messages that I really want to work on promoting throughout golf. And again, education, of course, growing the education side, but how we can also move beyond that to promote golf and also to make golfers more environmentally aware, and also the value of golf courses in the community as well. So a few different strands there, but essentially it comes back to sustainable golf.
And to sign off, Chris, maybe a message to potential members, companies, golf companies within the golf industry, the golf clubs that you've mentioned. Why should they join the AGIF, and how can they benefit from that?
Yeah, well, obviously, being a member of the AGIF, when I look at some of the larger companies that are involved, part of being a member is actually giving back to the industry and their membership that they pay. We're a not-for-profit organisation, so any money that comes into the organisation, goes straight back into support for education. The whole board is a volunteer board, and of course, we've got people like yourself and Spencer who are working tirelessly behind the scenes to sort of implement what we're doing, and we really appreciate the support we have from people like yourself. But I think in essence, we need to broaden the membership base again to get directly down to the golf club level. And I think for facility members, one of the benefits about being a member is the awareness within your golf club and what you can do to be a good citizen in the golf community. One of the things is training and education for your staff, and we'll work with golf clubs and how we can best provide those sort of training opportunities without the staff having to be absent too long from work, and give them some remote possibilities to join. And again, we'd like to look at other companies who are not specifically golf supply companies, but could be companies who are involved with some golf events, and how they can also some of the money that they put into promoting golf professional events, possibly some money towards again promoting education for the actual the clubs and the staff who put these events on. So we do have a bit of a missing link there with I think some of the money which is in professional golf. I think directing some of that money back down to the grassroots level is extremely important, and that's really a mission for us.
Great. Well, we wish you every success, Chris, in your tenure as president of the Asian Golf Industry Federation, and we look forward to catching up with you, hopefully on a regular basis going forward, and updating us with all the new initiatives and developments that are taking place. But for now, many thanks.
Thanks, Spencer. I really appreciate it. And again, to anybody who doesn't know a lot about the federation, there'll be a link to the website. Please go in and take a look. And if you're thinking about joining, get in contact with us, and we can have a chat about what we can do. And again, one of the key things that what we can do moving forward is actually provide. Sorry, cut that out.
That was a nice finish, actually. That was just before that.
Do you want to start again, Chris? Just with on that train, I don't know how I can edit something, or I can just do a final goodbye. Thanks, Spencer. Maybe.
Well, I could just add in. I just sort of go on and then you can just. I was talking about
that was good, Chris. I like that.
It was.
Mm.
The whole thing's been good, mate. You're nailing every single point we need to hit. And that was a great finish. You were very close to nailing.
Well, actually, the thing at the end I was just going to say about what we could do to provide more benefit to our members, because that's always been one of the questions we get asked a lot. And I was thinking about how I could phrase it what would be a good way to say how can we?
Something we would like to actively work with our members to ensure they get value from their membership.
All right.
Please get in contact with the team.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Okay. And look, and another key part we want to see how we can actively. Sorry, I forgot what I was going to say again.
Should we start that last section again, Marcus? I'll just ask the question and then let Chris roll in with that.
Yeah.
Actually, no. Actually, I'll just do that last little bit again. I'm sure we can sort of splice it in. I don't even know where I need to. I'll just do a little bit on that, and then we can, if it's no good, we can just add something in later. Or just cut it out.
Absolutely. Do you just want to go straight on, Chris, or do you want me to lead it in?
Yeah, I'll just go straight on.
Okay.
Hang on, let me think about that for a sec. We were talking about the. So really, we're talking about how we can provide more benefit to our members, really, right?
Well, to attract more members, and you were saying great stuff about, if you're interested, go to the website, we'll put the address there, and feel free to ask us questions. I think all of that's great. Just get that out there, and
you could have finished there. Yeah, you could have
actually maybe
there,
just
but
finish
you went
there.
on to say something important, which was if you want some help, what you were trying to say was if you're looking for some help, or contact us to see how we can assist you. As a federation was sort of the point you were making, trying to be more interactive, which I think is really important. But again, you could also just say thanks again for your time, Spencer, and please contact us if you're looking to learn more about membership, and leave it at that.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Thanks very much, Spencer. I really appreciate it. And for anyone who's thinking about joining, please go to the website. The link will be up here. and take a look at the membership categories. And if you need any information on how we can assist your organisation or company, please don't hesitate to contact us, because I think we can add great value to what you are looking to do in the Asia Pacific region. Thank you.
Nailed the dismount.
Perfect. I'll tell you what, thinking about it, we should probably do this, Chris, every quarter, just a quarterly update with you, just so you're the face and people can see you out there and hear that things are actually, and it can be 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. It's just getting you out there and getting you telling people what's going on and pushing for those memberships. That's the key thing.
You're right. I mean, it could just be one topic that we want to touch on.
Well, look, I think as and when the next stage of the CIG or the BMI, absolutely, let's just focus, or the Vietnam, or, you know, the Mission Hills link, anything, absolutely.
Something
in golf.
Something that was going through my head just then as you guys were talking was that's the best overview that I've had of what we offer as a federation, coming from your mouth, Chris. And it was just off the cuff, and it was obvious that you've been involved, and you as well, Spence, in this for so long. And I think you guys probably don't recognize the power of being able to explain it in such continuity. So, you know, me being relatively new, I kind of get it, and I'm able to sort of spurt out the key points, but you guys are able to deliver that with great continuity. And I think it was a great advertisement. Everything that I wanted to communicate was really well set out then, Chris. So I agree, Spence. I think we should absolutely use the president with his backdrop much more often.
Yeah, no thunder and lightning. I think it was good as well, because some of these, Chris, they drag on, and people's attention span, you know, they beyond 20, 30 minutes, it becomes tough. So I prefer something like that that's sort of short and sweet and not bullshitting, just telling it as it is.
Yeah, look, agreed. And you know, we've got the capabilities to get these little snapshots out there.
Yeah,
you know, here and there. So no, look, I think this is great stuff, and I'm sure, Marcus, you'll package that up and have some nice little images pop in here and there or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely.